It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
This next stat I think is so interesting because I think this one is going to dispel some popular thoughts out there. We actually asked the question, how old are our millionaires? How old were you when you reached millionaire status? What age were you when you crossed over that? And it's really, really interesting. You know, if you think about TikTok and social media and Instagram and all these pictures of wealth that we see, when we actually looked at our respondents, for the folks who answered our survey, only 2% of respondents hit millionaire status between the ages of 18 and 34. These young folks making millionaire status is just not the norm. They are the outliers. They're not the rule.
So, and I wanted to compare our results to what we kind of know out there from reading books and doing research. We know that by the research of, I believe it's Millionaire Next Door, or was it Ramsey Solutions?
I think it's Ramsey Solutions that came out with
49 years of age is the age of that most people cross into that 7-figure threshold. And I've always made the point that that's amazing how it's really after you've had 20 to 25 years of compounding growth where your money's building on top of each other and it comes together right in that mid-40s mark. Look at what our data shares. Look, sure enough, 35 to 44-year-olds, that's 27% of our clients. If you look at the biggest group, it's that 45 to 54-year-olds, 33% of them that's when they did cross in at 7 figures. And then, of course, we have some 55 to 64-year-olds at 25%. And then some people even, maybe it was a distribution payout from a pension or something else or inheritances. But so there was 13% that were 65 plus.
Now, what I think is so interesting is the question that we asked was, at what age were you when you crossed millionaire status? And you can see that that happens later on in life. We're going to share a number with you later on as we go through the survey about when people started getting excited about personal finance. Don't mishear us in saying that, oh, just because you won't reach millionaire status until your 40s and 50s, I mean, you ought to just put off making financial decisions. I think you're going to be interested to find that that's not the way these people got there. But before we get to that, another question that we asked our millionaires was, how much money do you make? How much income do you make? Because do we want to see, is attaining millionaire status, is getting into 7 figures of net worth something that's only available, only attainable for those with super high incomes? Is it only the celebrities and the big time earners that do that? And you might be surprised that that's not always the case.
Well, we share the data. I love that we always show you the numbers. And I believe anyone at any level of income can actually create wealth. And we'll get to the matter of where time comes into that wealth building component. But it is interesting because I know from working with clients from education, where we have teachers and others who have just been great savers. I grew up in a household where we were great savers, just not natural investors. But we do have clients, great savers, not huge incomes, but they do reach 7-figure status. You cannot see that. Now, look, of our clients, under $75,000 a year, it's only 3%.
That's right.
For the 75 to 100, it's 6%. $100 to $200,000 a year, it's 18%. Here is, and this is why it's important to focus on how you can grow your income to have a big shovel of wealth building. $200,000 to $500,000 a year of annual income was 46% of our clients.
And look, we recognize this is not the national average. It's not where most folks are, but it is not uncommon for folks that seek out financial content, that decide they want to go listen to a podcast or watch a YouTube channel about personal finance. They generally start cluing into that when their life gets more complicated, when things start to become harder to navigate. For you, maybe that happens at $80,000 of income, or maybe for someone else that happens at $300,000 of income. What I think is so interesting is those folks, even the ones that we work with who have more modest incomes or they had more modest incomes in their working careers, they recognize that if they didn't have the money component, the excess money, they sure figured out discipline early on and time early on to get those dollars working for them, making sound financial decisions. It is attainable even at modest incomes. You don't have to have a huge income in order to be successful over the long term.
Well, it made me, because when I saw this stat, I was like, man, this is going to dishearten a lot of people because they're going to see 200 to 500,000 and they'll be like, that's not me. But realize Bo and I go and we do 401k presentations. There's a credit union that we do annual presentations at. And look, they have a great matching program. They're very generous to their employees. And what I find interesting, we show every year, typically, that somebody who makes $50,000 annual income, if you start saving, take advantage of your employer match, which is step number 2 of the financial order of operations, they become multi-millionaires even with modest income. So you can do it. Don't let this data, we want to share it, but also use this to energize yourself in multiple ways.